Most beginners want to make sales, but they do not know how to start. And because of that, they either avoid selling completely or they make it much more awkward than it needs to be. They talk too much. They feel pushy, they get nervous, they over-explain, or they never actually ask for the sale at all. So today I want to make this simple. I want to show you 5 clear steps for selling a service or product as a beginner. We are going to talk about what selling really is, how to make it feel more natural, and how to improve your confidence without becoming pushy or fake. And before we continue, please subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment below. That really helps us grow the channel and helps more people find simple business and money lessons without the hype. Let's start with the first big idea. Selling is not mainly about pressure. Selling is about clarity and value. That matters because many beginners think sales is something aggressive. They imagine a pushy person trying to convince someone to buy something they do not really want. But good selling is not that. Good selling is helping the right person understand how your service or product can solve a real problem. That is a much healthier way to think about it. And once you understand that, selling becomes much easier. So here are the 5 steps. Step 1 is be clear about what you are selling. This sounds basic, but a lot of beginners fail here. They are vague, they are too broad, or they explain what they do in a way that confuses people. If people do not understand what you offer, they will not buy it. Clarity matters more than cleverness. So ask yourself, what exactly am I selling? Who is it for? What problem does it solve? And what result does it help create? For example, saying, I help small businesses with content writing is much clearer than saying, I do creative communication strategy solutions. The second one sounds impressive, but the first one is easier to understand. And when people understand you, they are much more likely to trust you. So the takeaway from step 1 is simple. If you cannot explain your offer clearly in 1 or 2 sentences, it will be much harder to sell. Step 2 is understand the customer's problem. This is where real selling begins. A lot of beginners focus too much on their product and not enough on the person in front of them. But people do not mainly buy products or services because they love features. They buy because they want a problem solved. They want relief. They want improvement. They want convenience. They want a better result. That means if you want to sell well, you need to understand what matters to the other person. What are they struggling with? What is frustrating them? What is costing them time, energy, money, or peace? For example, if you are offering social media help to a small business owner, they may not care first about your process or tools. They care that they are too busy, inconsistent, and overwhelmed. So your job is not just to describe your service. Your job is to connect your service to their real problem. That is what makes selling feel relevant instead of random. The takeaway from step 2 is this. People buy solutions, not just products. Step 3 is explain the value simply. Once you know what you sell and what problem the person has, the next step is to explain your value clearly. Not with hype, not with jargon, and not with a long speech. Simple sells better than complicated. So instead of saying too much, focus on 3 things. What it is, how it helps, and why it matters. For example, I help busy small business owners write clear social media captions so they can stay active online without spending hours on content. That is strong because it is simple. It tells people what you do, who it is for, and what benefit it creates. Here is another example. I tutor beginners in conversational English so they can speak with more confidence in daily life. Again, simple. A beginner often loses the sale because they make the explanation too long, too abstract, or too confusing. The takeaway is this. If you explain the value simply, people are much more likely to listen. Step 4 is make a clear offer and ask. This is where many beginners fail, not because they lack value, but because they never actually ask. They hint, they suggest, they talk around the point. They hope the other person will just figure it out. But selling requires a next step. At some point, you need to make a clear offer. That does not mean being aggressive. It just means being direct enough to make a decision possible. For example, you can say, "I can help you with that. I offer this service for this price. If you want, I can send you the details. I have a simple package for beginners. Would you like me to help you with that?" That is not pushy. That is clear. A lot of people are more comfortable when someone leads the conversation clearly instead of awkwardly circling around the topic. If you never ask, many opportunities simply disappear. So the takeaway from step 4 is, at some point, clear selling requires a clear ask. Step 5 is follow up without fear. This is one of the most important lessons in selling. A lot of sales do not happen in the first conversation. And that is normal. People are busy, they get distracted, they need time, they forget, they hesitate. That does not always mean they are not interested. It often means they need a simple follow-up. But many beginners are afraid of this. They think following up is annoying. They think it makes them look desperate. But respectful follow-up is normal. It can be as simple as just checking in to see if this is still something you'd like help with. I wanted to follow up in case you had any questions. Let me know if you'd like me to send the next steps. That is professional, not desperate. You do not need to send 10 messages. You do not need to pressure people. But you do need to understand that many sales are lost simply because no one followed up. The takeaway is this: following up is part of selling, not a sign that you are doing something wrong. Now let's bring all 5 steps together. If you want to sell a service or product as a beginner, here is the simple path. First, be clear about what you sell. Second, understand the customer's real problem. Third, explain the value simply. Fourth, make a clear offer and ask. And fifth, follow up with confidence. That is the framework. Simple, practical, and effective. Now here is one more important truth. You do not need to become a salesperson in the stereotypical sense. You do not need to become louder, more manipulative, or more fake. You need to become clearer. Because most beginner sales problems are not really personality problems. They are clarity problems. The offer is unclear, the customer is unclear, the value is unclear, the next step is unclear. And when things are unclear, people hesitate. But when things are clear, decisions become easier. That is one of the biggest lessons in business. Clarity builds trust, and trust helps people move forward. So here is your action step. Do not just watch this video and move on. Take one service or product that you want to sell and write out these 5 things. What exactly is it? Who is it for? What problem does it solve? How can I explain the value simply? And what clear next step can I ask for? Do that, and you will already be ahead of many beginners. Because real selling usually gets better not when people become more clever, but when they become more clear, more useful, and more confident. If this video helped you, subscribe to Business Made Simple, like the video, and leave a comment below telling me which of these 5 sales steps is hardest for beginners today. That really helps us grow the channel, and I appreciate it. Thanks for watching.